Hey folks, Silvis here. I'm on FDR. We're here to talk some politics, and we're also going to hunt wasps, because why not? Bam. So, as the title indicates, don't vote third party. Sums it up pretty quickly. So here's the deal. The election is in 4 to 3 days, depending on your time zone and various things, and when I get this video up. Mostly that. In an election cycle, like this one, where all the candidates have historically low favorability ratings, some of you who don't know, but some of you do, there's actually more than Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton competing in this election. There is Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, and there's Jill Steinstein, I'm not sure how her name's pronounced, I apologize, miss, who is the Green Party candidate. In fact, you might even have researched these candidates and discovered that maybe that Green Party is really important to you because you're really concerned about the environment, and that's the most important thing to you. Or maybe you really like what the Libertarians are spouting, and you might think to yourself, no, even if I didn't hate Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I think I'd still support this person. I'm going to vote for this person regardless. Don't do it. It's a waste of your vote. Real simple. Don't do it. Waste of your vote. Especially in this election cycle. You might dislike Donald Trump and you might dislike Hillary Clinton, but I would imagine that for the vast majority of people, there's one of those two that you dislike less. Vote for that one. I'm not a big fan of Hillary Clinton. However, this is actually a pretty bad example, because for me personally, even if it had been John Kasich, for instance, that was running as the Republican nominee, I still would vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm not a big fan of her. Don't think she's going to be a great president. She'll be an okay president. Average, mediocre, if you're being negative. She'll make some of the problems worse. I don't believe a Republican would make the situation better, though. She'll maintain the status quo. Things will be the same. I don't think that's going to be great. Don't think it's going to be the end of the world, though. Just don't think it's going to be great. I felt the same way about Obama. In fact, in 2008, I voted for John McCain. In 2012, I actually thought Mitt Romney would have been the better president. However, I still voted for Obama at that time because I felt that a Mitt Romney win would validate the Tea Party insanity that had existed in Congress and the Senate. And I felt that even though Mitt Romney would be marginally better than President Obama, that was only as a, compare those two. But when comparing the idea of a Republican president in the office, it's a different situation. So yeah, I voted for Obama anyway. But yeah, so I don't think Hillary Clinton's going to be all that great. But I don't think she's going to be the end of the world. I don't think she's going to be the worst thing ever. I don't think she's, the devil incarnate. Personally, though, I think Donald Trump's pretty awful. I think Donald Trump is actually, massively super awful. And I imagine that most people share a similar view, or one against Hillary, where they're not confident with either candidate, but there's one that they're disgusted by more, which is an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in, for sure. But hey, it happens. Now, here's the thing. Some people might be voting for a third-party candidate because they're protesting the situation, and that's what I hear a lot of people go. It's a protest vote. I'm voting for Gary Johnson to protest something. And other people might be voting for these two third-party candidates because, they genuinely believe in what they have to say. Thing is that when you're voting for somebody that has no chance of winning, because that's really what we're talking about, Gary Johnson is not going to win. No matter what happens in the next 3 days. If Hillary Clinton gets indicted and Donald Trump punches out a baby, one of them will still win. Gary Johnson's not winning. In fact, I can probably say that for, like, factually. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I can probably say factually Gary Johnson and Jill Stein cannot win, because with the states that have allowed early voting, there's probably enough votes in for both of those candidates that if by election day everybody votes for Gary Johnson, I mean, not everybody's going to vote for him, but even if somehow by election day Gary Johnson can get a majority of the votes that have already been cast make it impossible for him to win, probably. I don't know that for a fact, actually. That's a really interesting question that somebody could probably look into. So people say, though, it's going to be a protest vote. I'm going to give the system the finger by voting for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein. You're not. What you're doing is, whichever one of those two people that you find more horrifying, you're increasing the odds that that one wins. That's all you're doing. So to me, and again, Donald Trump to me is the way more horrifying option. So if I don't vote for Hillary Clinton, and instead I vote for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein, all I'm doing is making it more likely that Donald Trump will win. Because nothing I do is going to make it more likely that Gary Johnson wins. He's not winning. It's not happening. I'll eat my hat if it happens, and I don't even have one. He's not winning. I'm sorry. And I think everybody basically knows that. So if you make a protest vote, and here's the thing, making a protest vote is essentially the same thing as not voting. Gary Johnson isn't going to win, so you've thrown your vote away, just in the same sense you would have if you hadn't voted. So by not voting, or not voting for whichever candidate you would prefer, you do in fact make it more likely that the other one will win. So, again, in my case, I'm pretty terrified of the prospects of a Trump presidency. Like, legitimately terrified. I don't actually know what I would do if he gets elected. I mean, like, I feel like... See, I feel like with Donald Trump, most likely he won't be a catastrophic disaster. So any kind of talk about him starting World War III, or a whole bunch of people moving to Canada, or, you know, something catastrophically stupid, like him causing a nuclear war or something, you know, I mean, that's most likely not going to happen. However, with Hillary Clinton, I can pretty much say 100% that that's not going to happen. Whereas with Donald Trump, I'm mostly sure that's not going to happen. I feel like that's a pretty big deal, personally. But, so no, I don't really think that Donald Trump is going to lead to the end of the world. But it's a possibility, and I'm not comfortable with that possibility, which is why I'm voting for Hillary Clinton, amongst other reasons. And again, it's not like I'm appalled by Hillary Clinton's existence or something like that, too. Like, you know, she's not going to be a terrible president. I got a yawn coming. I am apparently more tired than I thought I was. Time to go to sleep, actually. So, I mean, yeah, you know, like, that's just kind of the way it is, whatever. But, yeah, like, you can't vote. So, if you don't vote, or you make your protest vote as it is, all you're doing is making it more likely. So if I make my protest vote and I vote for, Gary Johnson, that's a vote I didn't give to Hillary Clinton. Because if I didn't vote for Gary Johnson, I would be voting for Hillary Clinton. And since I didn't vote for her, that's one less vote that she's getting, and makes it that much more likely that Donald Trump gets elected. And I'm again, horrified pretty much of a Donald Trump presidency concept. So, don't vote third party. You're not protesting. You're not making a difference. Gary Johnson isn't going to win. Alright, you know what? I'll grant you this. Voting for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein in this election cycle might somehow create enough momentum that in the future there's a chance. that in the future, people will take the third-party candidate serious. But that's the best you're going to get. And first of all, it's not even guaranteed. But only if one of those third-party candidates got a large enough votes. So they have to get a large amount of votes in the first place, which they're probably not going to get because most people actually feel passionately about one of the sides in this election. And a lot of the people are also like me that realize the danger of this idea of a protest vote. But yeah, okay, maybe somehow they get a whole bunch of votes, and maybe next time around they ride that wave of momentum and something happens. But we can't risk it in this election. Republicans, Donald Trump supporters, to you guys, Hillary Clinton's the worst thing in the world. You can't risk a Hillary Clinton presidency by voting for Gary Johnson. Democrats, people that aren't for Trump, you guys can't risk a Trump presidency. You can't. Maybe they're both pretty bad, and maybe you're not happy with either option. But one of them is worse, and it's Donald Trump, you guys. You can't risk a Donald Trump presidency. Don't waste your vote on Jill Stein. Don't waste your vote on Gary Johnson. And don't stay home. Get out there to the polls. Vote. Figure out what you gotta do. Figure out where you gotta go. I've been getting so many text messages from various voter agencies trying to aid me in every way possible to get me out to vote. And I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna vote. I voted last election. I voted the election before that. And that was the first election I was of legal age to vote, which is actually a crazy concept to think. So, your protest vote isn't a protest, it's a wasted vote, and it's running the risk of whichever candidate you dislike the most of getting elected. That's what you're risking. So you're risking a Donald Trump presidency or a Hillary Clinton presidency for your protest vote. And your protest vote isn't taking you anywhere, guys. It's not. Even if that thing I just said, by the way, that, there's a big enough turnout for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein, and that they can somehow ride the wave of momentum next election cycle, that's even not going to happen. Because, I hope to God that in the future we don't have as unfavorable candidates. I hope, for the sake of future generations, and for the sake of this country, and for the sake of so many other things, I hope that we never have a repeat of the 2016 election cycle. Oh, God. The biggest fear I have isn't that Donald Trump gets elected. My biggest fear is that this becomes the new norm. That every 4 years, this happens. And from the start of 2000s, well, even basically the end of 2015, really, for pretty much an entire year, honestly, from late November, maybe it was October, that Donald Trump first announced his candidacy. I feel like I'm still not saying that right. It's been about a year, though. This whole cycle has been going on for a year. And I hope that this isn't the new norm. That in 3 years, actually, at this point, that in 3 years we don't start the same thing over again. Because that would be horrible. And I don't think our country could survive that, to be honest. I feel like this every 4 years is just too much. We can't handle it. But anyway, guys, again, don't waste your vote on a third-party candidate. Get out there and vote for either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Please don't vote for Donald Trump, but... See, I'll be a stand-up guy, and I'll say vote for Donald Trump over the other two. Yes, I'm horrified at the concept of a Donald Trump presidency, but do the right thing and vote for a real candidate. It is regrettable, I think, maybe. I'm not really sure if more parties makes a better thing. I've seen a lot of countries that have more parties, and their governments are more dysfunctional than ours, which is shocking. But get out there and vote. You've got 3 or 4 days to go do it. Get out there and vote on the 8th. It's not going to be that bad, hopefully. But get out there and do it. I hope you guys don't live in an area where the Republicans massively curtailed your voting rights, as they're wont to do. I did a video on that, by the way, guys. Yeah, hopefully you don't have to deal with that. But get out there, vote, and vote for one of the mainstream candidates. Don't waste your vote on the third party, guys. Vote for Hillary. Vote for Trump. Try to vote for Hillary. And if you gotta make a protest vote, okay? If you really, in your heart of hearts, you say, I can't lie to myself, I can't support Hillary Clinton, I don't like her liberal policies, and hey, that's a valid point, by the way. If you don't like her liberal policies, that's fine. And you can't support Donald Trump because you don't like his conservative policies, or you just don't like the fact that he's insane, and you just can't vote for one of them, and you're like, I gotta make this protest vote. I gotta do it. Don't vote for Jill Stein, and don't vote for Gary Johnson. There's a write-in section. Vote for Silvius. I will make America great again. Only I can make America great, guys. Remember that. Vote for Silvius if you really have to make that protest vote. All joking aside, vote for one of the mainstream candidates and get out and vote. Okay, guys? Do it.